Hello everyone, welcome to part 14 of our Google Sheets series. In this tutorial we're going to learn how to autofill and kind of look at some of the AutoSum features that are in Google Sheets. It's not exactly the same as Excel, but we can kind of go over some of the things that you can do in Sheets that are similar to that. So let's talk about autofill. So if we look at our column A, we have a value of 1 in A2 here. And if we wanted to repeat this value, we could go down every cell and just kind of click 1 in each one. But we can use the autofill method of doing this much faster. So if we highlight this cell and we go over to where this blue little square is and we go highlight over it till that cursor turns into a cross, we can click and drag that down, many cells down, and it will repeat that one over and over. So that's a big time saver, especially if you have a lot of data that you're working with. Now, autofill also repeats patterns. So if we look at column 2 here, it has a 2 and a 4. We can actually click and highlight these cells. And as long as you have both highlighted, Google Sheets will figure out that pattern and repeat it if you autofill. So I'm going to go over to that square. I'm going to click and drag it down. And you can kind of see it did the autofill quite well there. It went 2, 4, 6, 8. It's counting by twos. And let's do one more counting by threes. So I'm going to come over here to column C, highlight those two, and drag that down. And there you go. It's counting by threes all the way up to 27. So you may have noticed when I was doing this, if you were looking in the bottom right, there was this little sum. It actually does an auto sum kind of on its own when you highlight things. So for example, column C, the sum would be 135. If you click this, it gives you the average, minimum, max, and the count of the numbers. It's also available in Explorer, as well as some other functions here, as well as graphing functions and stuff. It really kind of helps you out to determine what you're really looking for. So that's essentially what the auto sum is. You can do that with any range that you highlight. So you can highlight like across multiple columns, it will do it. Just one column, it goes ahead and gives you all those values. And so that's kind of a really neat way of doing it. If you're not wanting to actually type the formula, you just want a quick idea of what numbers you're working with. And so let's go ahead and just kind of show that in these two columns here too. So I'm just going to do a 1 and a 2, and I'm just going to repeat this pattern all the way down. And then I'm going to actually do a 4 and an 8. And I'm going to repeat that pattern down, so counting by fours. And so that's demonstrating autofill one more time. But if we go down and we highlight this, you can see the sum is 45. So if we just needed to put in the sum after here, we could just type that in. We know that that's 45. Same here, we could highlight those, and you can see the sum is 180. So we could just type that in like that. So the other thing that you can also do is I'm going to put in a formula here. I'm going to say equals sum, and I'm going to give it the range of A2 to A10. And if I close that parenthesis, it has a 9 here, which is correct. There's 9 ones. But what we can do is you can use the autofill on functions as well, and it does its pretty good job of updating the range. So if we click and drag that over too, now you can kind of see we have summed in column B the correct range of B2 through B10, and column C, C2 through C10. And so that's another really quick way you can autofill, even with functions. It does its best job as far as like updating the range and stuff, if it makes sense. Sometimes this doesn't work, so I always recommend that you check just to make sure the ranges kind of stay the same. It can get a little quirky. But that's essentially what autofill and autosum are in Google Sheets, and I hope to see you in the next one.